Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, Totally Not True, with Rabbi, the man Federow from the Big H, Houston, Texas. Welcome back, Rabbi. Pleasure indeed. All right, Rabbi, you can hear me okay? Rabbi. Hello.
Hello, hello. How you doing?
I wasn't sure if you heard me or not. Good deal.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, good deal.
Trying to do two things at once.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not a big multitasker either. All right. Let's see. Do Not Disturb turns available. Call in with your questions like last week. That turned out to be a pretty good little thing to do, if you will. Let's see. And apparently, I don't have the phone number on that little banner, so I'll put that up there now. Give us just a moment.
Maximo has a question.
Very good. Let's do that. Turn off background music, please. Thank you. I don't know why I cannot hear what you guys are hearing. But
all I can hear is the music.
That's you too. I'm the only one who can't hear that. I don't know why that is. I will fix that though. Andrea, after 2 in a row, I might start remembering to just look at that every time. So thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. Goodness. Okay, very good.
The music just started up again.
Oh, it did. Oh man, what the heck? Pause. Close. It can't start up now. I closed it.
Good.
Interesting.
That'll
Wow.
work.
Yeah, no kidding. That's funny. All right, good deal. So let's go back to the question, and it was...
No, he just said he had a question.
Oh, okay. So if you got a question there, that's fine. I'll put the number on your screen as well, 855-952-4253. I'll put that up here in just a minute, but feel free to call in now. Or go ahead and put your question in here. As Rabbi mentioned, there's one there. YouTube can't hear it now because I actually turned it off. You may be catching the lag part, actually, Mr. Fatvegan. We got a caller online right now. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Brian from Massachusetts.
Welcome.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, Brian. Welcome. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. So my question is, we know the story of the overturning of the tables.
Okay.
And how that essentially is put in there to make, to put the Jews in like a bad light, essentially, and that Jesus is like doing everything right. But was that an actual good gesture, or was it a sin, or is it neither of those?
Okay.
That's just a question.
That's a great question. There's so much around that. So, all right, Brian, go ahead and hang up now to me for your answer, okay? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right, good deal. Yeah, that's good. Robert, you've talked about this before, and a lot of it had to do with Jesus is having a little bit of an attitude and violence.
Right. Although he had done no violence, Isaiah 53 tells us.
Right.
So much for that.
Yeah. So you want to take that away and give that a discussion?
Yeah, why not?
Right.
So take a look at... there we go. Take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 24.
Okay. Deuteronomy 14 or 13?
Deuteronomy 14.
Okay.
Deuteronomy.
All right. Chapter 14, 34.
24.
All right. Give us a moment here. Okay. 14 and 24 is coming up.
And if the way be too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, this is the sacrifice you want to give, or if the place be too far from you, which the eternal your God shall choose to set his name there, which means the temple, or the wandering sanctuary that wandered around, in the wilderness with them, when the eternal your God has blessed you, then shall you turn it into money, bind up the money in your hand, and go into the place which the eternal your God shall choose, which means the temple. And you shall bestow that money for whatsoever your soul lusts after, for oxen, for sheep, for wine, for strong drink, or for whatsoever your soul desires. And you shall eat there before the eternal your God, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. And if you really want to go back, okay, take a look at this is about the tithes, okay? You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed that the field brings forth year by year, and you shall eat before the eternal your God. But if the way is too long for you, and it goes on with what we just read.
Okay.
I want you to understand, this is talking about sacrifices.
Okay.
So I want to sacrifice a cow, but a cow's not going to make the long distance. So, or a bull or whatever. So I sell it and take the money. But now, and then I go all the way to Jerusalem to the temple. And I can be sure that I'm going to be treated correctly at the temple, because the Bible explicitly says repeatedly, by the temple weight. You will turn it into the silver by the temple weight. You will turn it into gold by the temple weight. Okay? It safeguards that everybody at the temple ground has to go by the same weight, which means they're not usurious, they're not charging too much. That's baloney. But be that, we'll get to that more in a minute. So I make it to the temple, and I want to go buy now a cow, like I said I was going to sacrifice. And remember that the sacrifice was basically like your corner store butcher, because they sacrificed the animal, the priest got his cut, pardon the pun, some of the bull was burned, as a sacrifice, and the rest was taken for the festival meal,
right?
Which is what it's talking about. But I'm having Italian money. I'm using whatever money.
Right.
So when I get to the Temple Mount, I've got to go to a money changer. And I've got to change the money into the silver of the temple. And then I take that weight and I go buy a bull with it. Which means that here in Deuteronomy 14, God is commanding that there should be money changers at the temple, and commands that there be sacrifices sold at the temple. Because you can't always pick up the bull or the calf or the sheep or the lamb or the whatever and, take it with you. You have to, sometimes you're so far away, if it's too long to you or that you're not able to carry it, or if the place is too far from you, then you got to use a money changer, turn it into the local Israel Temple Mount money, and then buy a sacrifice there, which means you've got to have money changers. So when Jesus goes into the temple and overturns the tables, and according to the Gospel of John, he makes his own whip, his own scourge to beat them with. And he calls it, you den of thieves, but is that the only thing we have to indicate there was a problem with what they were selling?
Huh.
Buying and selling was mandatory by Deuteronomy 14. There's no statement anywhere. There's no reason to believe that they were charging too much, that they were cheating the people. That is a rationalization
unless of course they were buying and selling on Shabbat, then that would be an issue.
But they wouldn't do that. This is the temple.
Right.
So, yes, he sinned by overturning the temples and turning over what God had mandated be there. And then when you add to that he's, the text in John says that he, made his own scourge to beat the people and then drove out the animals, which weren't his. They belonged to the people who were commanded by Deuteronomy 13 to be there. That means, he's really got a problem.
Because even you just brought up to mind where he drove the pigs into the body of water,
right,
as well, which belonged to someone else. So.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Good question.
See?
Oh, I forgot to put the number up on screen. My bad.
By the way, Z.E. Hawk talks about Deuteronomy 13 as a false prophet, influencing others to follow a false prophet. I think that's Deuteronomy 12, but I could be wrong. I think that's Deuteronomy 12.
What was the question or the comment?
Well, his comment was where it talks about people leading others astray. Let's see.
Good to see everybody out there. Wally, Maximo, J.E. Golem, or Z.E., excuse me, Crystal Cheney, welcome. Very good, very good. Andrea, thank you for your awesome help as usual. Miss Fat Vegan, Rockin' Bandit. Awesome, glad you're enjoying the show. That's great. Michael Arlen. Looks like we got Jim Kruger, Sean Gibson. Sean, you've been around for a while as well. Marquetta Miller. Very nice. Darlene. All right. So the number is on your screen. Feel free to call in, guys.
I got mixed up. I think he's right.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, 13. He's right. I got mixed up.
Right about verse, chapter what?
No, he said that where'd it go? Where'd it go? Wait a minute. Deuteronomy 13 refers to Jesus as a false prophet. Further on, towards the end of the chapter, it talks about people who influence others to follow that false prophet. So he's right. It's Deuteronomy 13. I was thinking of something else. So you're right. Let's see. Beginning with, verse 1, actually. What I was thinking of in Deuteronomy 12 is where God calls human sacrifice an abomination and something he hates. So I got mixed up. You were right. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Let's see. Wait a minute.
Scrolling. No calls tonight. It was really busy with calls last week. It's all right, though, if you ask questions.
What was the curtain that Gentiles could not pass, so that has been suggested as where the buying and selling was taking place rather than in Solomon's stores? I don't know, Larry. I don't know what curtain they couldn't pass by and why they would have it there. I don't know, because Gentiles could offer sacrifices too.
Speaking of which, the curtain, the veil of the temple, I say the veil of the temple was torn whenever when Jesus died.
Wait. Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
Hello? Okay, Maximo. What halachic reason is there to reject a convert? Well, let's see. If they're found out to be lying, if they are found out to be disingenuous, insincere, if they're found out to still be breaking Jewish law at the time they want to convert. So if they're, say, hey, I'm ready to go to the mikveh while they still have bacon in between their teeth, it's a problem. Let's see. That covers a multitude, pardon the expression, of sin. I'm so funny. But nevertheless, that's true. You can reject a convert if you feel they're not ready. If you have somebody who, can't answer very simple questions about Judaism, Jewish history, Jewish practice. I will tell you a story. We had a young lady who very earnestly wanted to convert, and when she came before the Beit Din, she froze. I mean, froze. We asked her. We asked her, what do you do for, Passover? And she froze. She said, I can't remember exactly how she worded it, but she said, we have a Passover Seder where the foods represent, various things in Jewish theology, and we read out of a. She couldn't think of the word Haggadah.
That's funny.
And the more she froze on that, the more that everything else we asked her after that went downhill.
Yeah.
It's like she got so terrified that she wasn't, but she knew it. She knew, she just couldn't think of the word. And then she started messing up. But the knowledge was there. She just couldn't grab the word. She was very nervous. She was clearly sincere. So the Beit Din, had compassion and went ahead and converted her. And she's very active, and her children are going to religious school and everything.
Oh,
so,
wow. Good to know.
So
they could reject you if you have a spouse who's not willing to convert, right?
In the Orthodox community, they will not convert someone if their spouse is not also converting, because they say that if they convert one person to Judaism, their conversion creates a mixed marriage, an interfaith marriage.
Right.
They don't make interfaith marriages. So if they're not both converting, they're not going to convert the one who wants to convert.
Right. Good point.
Right. So
713. Did I miss a call? I think I did.
I'm sorry, what?
Whoever called the called number ending in 5004, please call back. I didn't realize I've got the caller screen is way behind me, so I'm having to turn to see it when it comes up, because I turned the ringer notification off because it's been causing problems in the past. So, but now that I don't have a ringer notification, I've just got to keep looking over my shoulder to find the caller. So,
Rockin' Bandit in Australia. Hi. That's pretty cool. My God, what time is it there? 12 noon? Could be that. I'm not sure what time it is in Australia.
I think they're 10 hours behind us.
It's probably forward by 10.
I think it's back 10, I think. Maybe it is. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is 4:10. Yeah. Something like that. All right. Let's see. I wonder if, I'm going to try something. I've never tried this before. I'm going to try to dial out. Let's see if I can do that. That would be fun. Oh, there it is. There's somebody else calling. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. They just hung up. Okay. Let's try anyway. So once again, I'm going to try to call this here. Nope. Sorry, you can only make calls to your coworkers' extensions. Dang, that sucks.
Yeah. Man, bear, pig. Acts 7:15. I think that's the verse. Got a whole lot of things wrong.
What's the context of the verse?
Acts 7:15. Let me see.
What is the context? Oh, you don't know. Okay, gotcha.
If I remember correctly,
okay.
There are like 6 different things. Okay, now I forgot what it was. Acts what?
7:15.
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Acts 7. Yeah. Right. And were carried over to Shechem and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money from the sons of Amor, the father of Shechem. No, he didn't buy it from the sons of Amor or the father of Shechem. He bought it from mental block. I can't think of his name. Give me a second.
Larry, you're right, brother. Larry's right. I sure could use a secretary or a second set of hands in the studio. That's funny. It's been a single one-man operation for going on 8 years now. And it does get overwhelming. That's for sure.
Okay. And this. And I have a whole file on this one verse.
Well, there's another interesting topic that should be addressed when you get a moment.
Yeah, Acts chapter 7:14. After this, Joseph sent for his father Jacob and his whole family, 75 in all. No, it wasn't 75, it was 70. Then Jacob went down to Egypt, where he and our fathers died. Verse 16. Their bodies were brought back to Shechem and placed in the tomb that Abraham had bought from the sons of Hamor at Shechem for a certain sum of money. No, not at all. Okay. The bodies were not buried in Shechem. They were buried in Hebron at the cave of Machpelah. That's one thing. Joseph alone was buried in Shechem, not the forefathers. Abraham didn't buy the tomb in Shechem. He bought the cave at Machpelah, which is in Hebron. The cave at Machpelah was not bought from the sons of Hamor, but from Ephron the Hittite. Jacob, not Abraham, bought the piece of land near Shechem from the sons of Hamor. 6 errors in one verse. They make 6 errors in one verse from the book of Acts, which, is inspired by the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit must have been...
Okay, Rabbi, here I want you to address another question.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have somebody viewing now who used to be Christian and is now atheist, and he said the main reason why is because he could not support a merciful and loving God that kills animals with abuse and cruel treatment of animals for food. Well, first of all, there was no cruel treatment at all. That's a misconception. But anyway, if you would, could you please address that, because that is really important to a lot of people.
Okay, First, it is important. Okay, and if I didn't keep kosher, I'd be a vegetarian.
Right.
There's a whole long story about that. But at any rate, unless you have a very strong stomach, don't go to a slaughterhouse. Someday I'll tell you this. At any rate, first of all, I would beg you to remember that everything you learned about Judaism, the Hebrew Scriptures, the Bible, or the Jewish people, from the Christianity you left, cannot be trusted. If you left it, don't take that part of what you left with you when you go. So whatever you learned from them that you left about Judaism, about the Jewish people, about the Bible, don't take that with you. Leave it behind too. Second of all, I would urge you to Google, and here, let me do it. Okay. I could never remember the name of it. Give me a second. Nope. Yeah. Jewish Veg, JEWISHVEG.org. Okay. JewishVeg.org. Okay. You can go to, I don't know where you're living, but that's in the United Kingdom. AISH.com. Judaism and Vegetarianism. JewishVirtualLibrary.org. Rabbinic Teachings on Vegetarianism. Let's see. Those are the ones that Chabad.org. Judaism and Vegetarianism, Questions and Answers. Any one of these. I personally like the JewishVeg.org. But, okay. A number of things that I want you to remember when it talks about killing of animals. Okay, when Adam and Eve were created in the Garden of Eden, they were created as vegetarians. Read the text. God explicitly says to Adam or Eve, of all the vegetables in the Garden of Eden you can eat except for this tree. They are not given permission to eat meat until after the flood. And it is giving in. No, it's giving in to human bloodthirst.
Gotcha.
Okay, I don't want you to eat meat, but if you don't start eating meat, you're going to start eating each other, not literally but figuratively. So maybe you won't go to war and hate each other and kill each other and murder each other as badly if I let you eat meat. At any rate, it's in there. Go look at it. That's one thing. So vegetarianism is considered the highest characteristic of Judaism. When you go to any one of those websites, I guarantee you they'll give you the lengthy list of the most famous rabbis, all of whom were vegetarian. Right. Okay, that's another thing. Second of all, 10, 20 minutes ago, whatever it is, I made the statement that the animal sacrifices were like the corner butcher. Okay. Judaism says that if you're going to kill an animal for your own sustenance, at least be humane in the way you kill it. And we can argue for 100 years on what is what, but at least Judaism felt it to be a concern how you go about taking the life of the animal. Judaism had the concern. Did Christianity? I thought Jesus or maybe Paul explicitly said, go ahead and eat roadkill. That's not the word they would have used back then. That's a modern word, but it's, I can't remember exactly what it says. Okay, maybe somebody in the what you call it can help us. Okay, so at least Judaism had this concern for the humane treatment of animals. If you're going to kill it for your food, at least be humane when you kill it, and therefore created a religious ritual. A religious ritual has more power than anything else to maintain a specific way of doing something. Because it's a religious ritual, they're more likely to follow it very exactly.
Right.
And that way, I believe, Judaism believes, and has for thousands of years, that it's the most humane way to take the life of an animal.
Right. Rabbi, check
Okay.
your text message real fast, if you don't mind.
My text message?
Yeah.
My phone was running out of power. I don't have it on me.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. If we were using Zoom, you could put it in the chat
Actually,
privately.
I can. I'll send it. Well, actually, no, I can't send it to you on Skype. Yeah, I'll send it to you on Skype. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Well, be careful. All right. Okay. Another thing that you have to understand is that take a look at the history, the chronology. That's a better word. Take a look at the chronology of the animal sacrifices. Look, animals were expensive, and I don't mean like they paid a lot of money. I mean, sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
All
right, sorry. Couldn't resist. All right. So, the point is that take a look at the chronology. Okay. In the ancient world, anybody could sacrifice anything or anybody else, anywhere, and any animal. Anybody could sacrifice anything or anybody, anywhere, and so God comes along and says, blood sacrifices are gross and disgusting, and I don't want, at least my people, the Jewish people, to have blood and gore as the central part of their worship service. Okay, so what does God do? Over a very long period of time, because everybody else in the world is doing sacrifices and blood sacrifices, and some of them are even killing their children, killing human beings as sacrifices. Okay, so God comes along and says, not my people. I'm going to slowly wean them away from blood and gore. So the first thing God does, both in Genesis and in Deuteronomy, is eliminate human sacrifice. The second thing God does in Leviticus is to limit it one more time by saying only certain animals are allowed to be sacrificed. Furthermore, in Leviticus, God says that you can only, if you're going to do these sacrifices, you can only do them a certain way, limiting it one more time. And then finally in Deuteronomy, God limits it to the Mishkan, what's it called? The place where they did their worship service in the wilderness, and which also eventually became the temple in Jerusalem. And then God got rid of the temple. So first it's no human sacrifice, no only certain animals, only a certain way, only one place, and then God gets rid of the place, thus weaning the Jews away from animals and blood and gore as the central part of their worship service. I'd argue that that's probably still in Christianity with the image and story of the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, be that as it may. Humans can still eat meat, but Judaism at least cared about how they are killed, and vegetarianism is still one of the highest aspects of keeping kosher. You know, kosher only becomes, okay, that's an exaggeration. 90% of what kosher is has to do with the animal. If you don't eat animal, you're already keeping most of what kosher laws require. How the animal is killed, how the meat is prepared, how the meat is served, etc., etc. Okay, so I understand, believe me, I understand your feelings about allowing humans to kill for sustenance, okay? But if you read the Bible, that was a giving into human bloodthirst, in the hopes that by allowing them to be, eaters of meat, of animal, then maybe they wouldn't kill each other and become so bad that they had to be flooded out of existence. Because it's only after the flood they're allowed to eat meat. And it's in the text. You can see it. God says, remember, now that you're leaving the ark, from now on, the animals are going to be afraid of you. Why? Because up until then, they didn't eat them. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit better. And please go to jewishveg.org, and you're going to find a wealth of information about Jewish vegetarianism. Okay.
Awesome. So the most dramatic part of the concern, again, is the cruelty to animals. Well, it's not. There's no cruelty to animals involved. I mean, when they slaughter a chicken or a cow, it's done in such a manner that they don't even know what's happening.
If you've ever been to a slaughterhouse, watch the animals. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I've read this. I'm not quite sure how it's true, but I have seen cattle slaughtered. And while they are being slaughtered, it is as if they don't have the slightest idea what's happening to them. Right. Some will be more aware than others. Some will be very scared. But I've seen with my own eyes where it's like, because remember something, the knife blade, okay?
I was just fixing to bring that up.
The knife blade has to be so sharp that you can run your fingers like this and there's no nick. If there's a nick, the skin is ripped instead of cut, and therefore the animal can't be kosher.
Right.
Okay. And like a paper cut you don't even know you got, it's supposed to be that sharp that the animal feels the least amount of pain.
And I can tell you myself, based on experience, I've actually had a razor blade cut out of a brand new razor blade that actually cut my finger from knuckle to knuckle right here one time on a job site. And at the time it happened, because it was so sharp, I had no idea I even cut my finger. I was bleeding all over the floor, looking up at the ceiling, trying to guesstimate how much of this plastic to take out of this box for this wall. And a guy I was working with was up on the ladder looking down at me, freaking out. And I'm like, dude, what's the problem? He goes, dude, you're bleeding everywhere. I looked down. I had no clue I was even cut. So there's no torture involved. There's no cruelty. There's no pain. So that right there, of all things, should be completely removed from your concern list. Is the point?
Right. Let me say something again, because it's important to me. It may not be important to anybody else.
Okay.
But let's pretend that the animals do have pain and do express fear and feel the pain. Judaism, in a period of time where nobody else gave a crap, cared. They understood the pain of animals. Okay, again, on Jewish Veg, you're going to read all about this, but you're not allowed to eat until your pets, your animals, the animals you own, eat first. Even on Shabbat, you have to milk your cattle. Okay, it's considered cruel, not to. The Judaism had the concern, when other religions, in my opinion, still don't. Well, actually, Islam does. Islam has the same way to kill as kosher, but halal meat is not kosher, but kosher meat is halal. The point is that Judaism cared, so it made laws, ritual laws, Jewish laws, halachic laws. Well, that's redundant. Halacha, which requires us to be concerned for the animal, even though it's being slaughtered. And I would argue that the Jewish way is the most humane way, even today. Even today. There's a woman, I can't think of her name. She is autistic, but her form of autism makes her very, 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 very sympathetic, empathetic to animals. And she actually caused a revolution among Jewish slaughterhouses that instead of being pulled up by their feet in order to be slaughtered, that it's a ramp that goes down like this that basically does the same thing, for the animal where it's slaughtered. And they complied with what I can't think of her name, famous woman. Nobody.
No clue.
Can't think of her name. All right. Because Judaism cares about the animal, even though it's slaughtering it, and I don't think other religions care. And by the way, I would argue that if they do care now, it's because of Judaism's influence on them, but that's whatever. Maybe that's just me looking at everything through Jewish-colored glasses.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so
Let's see.
While you check the questions on chat, I'm going to review. I'm trying to actually download.
Geronimo Osceola Maccabeus. The words of the Most High given to the prophet Nathan of a man loving his animal as his own child. Yep. Good point.
Okay, let's see if this worked.
Wait, who said you can't eat meat on Shabbat?
There we go.
I don't know what that is all about.
Okay, I think I beat the system. I downloaded the Ring Central app onto my other computer. But if anything, it might give me a ring to let me know that callers are calling in. We'll see how that works. So if you guys want to call in and say hi, call in with a question. Either way is fine.
Yep.
We are ready for you. 855-952-4253 is readily available on your
Laura
screen.
S. Adam was only forbidden to kill animals to eat. Animals that died in any way were permitted for his consumption. Yeah, but what's going to kill them? In the short time that Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, unless they died of a natural cause, animals didn't eat each other until after Noah. I'm not sure. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but how often would that have happened? So, at any rate. Up and after Noah. Okay. All right. At any rate.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, no, it's not mandatory to eat animal on Shabbat. Most do, but if you're vegetarian, obviously you're not going to. I'm not quite sure where you're heading with that. Okay.
Okay, so Laura S., you said that the Talmud is against refraining from eating.
Is against who?
The Talmud is against refraining from eating meat, even for good reasons. Says Bava Vatra, I guess that's the tractate, 60b, says the Talmud says that Adam did eat meat.
Okay, then take the argument to all the rabbis quoted on the various websites as having been vegetarians. So
Right.
I guess they didn't agree with the Talmud, did they?
And yeah, exactly.
So go argue with them.
Let's see. What else we got? All right. Let me see. Can Deuteronomy 30, verse 12 be a reference point to come against JC?
Here, wait a minute. Deuteronomy 30:12.
30:12.
Deuteronomy. Let's see.
All of me.
Deuteronomy
Da,
30.
da, 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 da.
12. It is not in heaven that you should say, who shall go up to us to heaven and bring it down that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh into you, into your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. See, to me, it's Deuteronomy 30, verse 14 that really seals the deal. Christianity believes we can't do the law. We're incapable of doing the law because we can't do every single law, which God never thought we would. Okay, but we can't do the law. Therefore, we're condemned if we mess up on one law, it's as if we broke every single law. So if you eat pig on purpose, then you get the death penalty because everything is death. It's just, yeah. Okay. So to me, when it says that you may do it, that part is clearly against the antinomianism, the hatred of law that you find in Pauline Christianity in the New Testament. That you may do it is the opposite of saying you are incapable of doing it. You know, I don't think that Christianity understands law. I don't think they understand Jewish law. I don't think they understand a lot of things about law. But whatever. Okay. Clearly stated to make your arguments with the rabbis that made the book, period. I don't understand what you're saying. It's got to be a reference to something else.
Right.
So.
All right.
Oh.
So, yep, go ahead.
Ascending up to heaven is my focus in that verse. I don't see that ascending into heaven would be what prevents, you know, as an anti thing against something against Jesus.
Janice Hart asks, Rabbi, can you please describe the difference between halal and kosher?
Well, I'm not that good on halal. I can only tell you the very basic things, so I'm not really the one to go by. But what I know is that kosher is halal, but halal is not kosher because Judaism demands more be done to the meat. Okay, among other things. There are plenty of there are other reasons as well, but you know, we have to salt the meat and remove the blood. We have to, you know, separate it, keep it, you know, not eat milk and meat together. There are other things involved with it that you don't find in halal. I don't know about halal. I don't know enough about halal to answer your question. I'm sorry. You know, in Judaism, you have to remove as much blood as is possible, and then you salt the meat with a certain kind of salt, a very thick, coarse salt, where each grain is very thick and large, to even further remove the blood. And you do it more than once. I don't remember offhand, maybe 3 times. And then you rinse off the salt, okay, in order to remove as much of the blood as you possibly can. So,
also to state that I believe that Muslims can eat kosher, but Jews cannot eat halal. Is that correct?
Kosher meat is considered halal by Islam, but halal meat is not considered kosher by Judaism because there's much more involved with it in Judaism.
Yeah, it's just not as detailed in Islam. Yeah.
And please, everybody out there, I'm sure you already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Nothing that I just said had anything to do with, oh, it's kosher because a rabbi blessed it. That just drives me crazy. Oh, it's kosher. That means a rabbi blessed it, right?
So Mo Hatum is a Muslim watcher. He said kosher is not halal. He's a Muslim. No, I think the point was. I think I've heard by numerous rabbis that who actually have a lot of Muslim friends that says that Muslims can eat kosher, but Jewish cannot eat halal, and that's all Rabbi was saying too. So, yep, there you go. That's the main point anyway. All right, let's see. Very good. What? Let's see. Okay. Where are we at here? You see anything there, Rabbi?
Well, I was looking up something.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll scroll through chat here and see what I can find. Was Adam and Eve?
Wait. Here's one.
Okay.
Okay. If you go to muslimmatters.org, there's a 2012 article, Is Kosher Meat Halal? A Comparison of the Halachic and Sharia Requirements. So they're going to be a lot better at this than I am, because I really don't know, the rules of halal. So, okay. All right, now what?
Let's see. I lost it. I had one there, but it got lost there. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, something had to do with Adam and Eve eating the fruit. If they was Adam and Eve, I'm going off memory now, was Adam and Eve meant to eat the fruit? Because they eventually eat fruits off the trees. So was that just I don't want to ask the question in a different way than it was written, so let me go back and read it here because I could influence it the wrong way.
In my opinion,
we do have a caller. Let's take the caller. Callers are definitely precedent here. So, caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, could you do me a favor and turn your computer down real quick while we talk?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Paul Stamba from Cleveland, Ohio.
Paul Stamba. Welcome. What's the question?
Hello, Rabbi Stuart. I had a question for you. What is the Ecclesiastes chapter 7, where King Solomon says, I have seen the righteous man perishing in his righteousness, and the wicked man prolonging his days in his wickedness. Could you contrast that with, let's say, some of the other passages where it mentions wicked people or just people who just don't care about the law? But if you could just could in any way that you see fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and hang up now to your answer, okay? Thanks.
All right.
All right. Well, Rebel, 1 second. Caller, we got another caller online. Just sit tight until we finish. It could take a little bit, so don't hang up, okay?
I'll try to be quick. I'm not.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Here, my take is that Ecclesiastes is a realist. And what you're referring to is found in Exodus. Give me a second.
Hello?
Okay, wait a minute. Just give me a second. Give me a second. It's funny how I can find it in some books faster than I can find it in others.
It's all right.
Okay, give me a minute.
Sure. Yeah, and caller, if you can hear me now, don't hang up. We're just going to discuss this question real fast, and then we'll turn your volume up so you can present your question. It was quiet for a while, but now I got 3 or 4 calls back.
11:13. 11. Now what? Deuteronomy. What is the matter with this? Oh, that's what's the matter. Duh. Okay, so yeah, okay. Deuteronomy 11. What did I say? 13.
No.
And it shall come to pass, if you hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the eternal your God and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you rain upon your land in his due season, first rain and latter rain, that you may gather in the corn and the wine and your oil, and I will send grass in the fields. In other words, everything's going to be hunky-dory. Take heed, this is verse 16, Deuteronomy 11:16. Take heed to yourselves that your heart not be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Eternal's wrath will be kindled against you, and he shall shut up the heaven, and there'll be no rain. And if you don't, then everything's going to be bad. Okay? In many ways, I think that's true, by the way, because I happen to believe in the idea of habits. You know,
Right.
If I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's not a car anywhere to be seen and the light turns red and I go through it, most likely nothing's going to happen. And if I get used to doing that when I get to that intersection, I'm not going to get hit. But what happens if I start doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? It may be a month before I get hit. You never know. It's not always going to be bad if you break the law. But eventually, statistically, you're going to get clobbered running a red light at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 3 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody to be seen. So, yeah, I kind of think that if you keep the law, then you're going to have a better life and things will be better for you. And if you don't keep the law, yeah, things are going to go bad. But be that as it may, this is what I would contrast with what you were saying from Ecclesiastes. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, now I lost it. Wait a minute. Ecclesiastes, and what did he say? What was it? What was the chapter verse?
I don't remember.
Okay. Basically, he says that he has seen good people have bad things and bad people have good things in their lives. Okay? And we cannot deny that that's true. I think one is a very large view and the other is a very close view. Let me explain what I mean. I believe that if a person is bad, if a person does evil, if a person continually, constantly rejects the laws of God, even if it's the 7 law, the most basic elemental laws of morality and ethics, okay, that they're not going to have a good life. Okay, that, thou shalt not steal, okay, adultery or illicit sexual union, not just adultery. You're going to get into trouble. Your life isn't going to go well. Okay, but that means that a person who commits adultery or who steals isn't going to have a party and have fun, isn't going to have joy in their life. So the macro, the larger step back view of the whole life is going to be overall not great. But if you take a look at any one isolated part, okay, it may be great, may be wonderful, may be joy in their lives. I'll give you another example. Take a coin and flip it 1,000 times. You will basically have 500 heads and 500 tails. Over time, it will even out. But if you take a look at any 10 throws, 1 through 10, 2 through 11, 3 through 12, you see what I'm saying? If you take a look at any 10 throws, you could actually get 7, 8, 9, even 10 heads. You could get 7, 8, or 9, or even 10 tails. And this is, I think, very true in life. I think there are times in our lives where a lot of our throws are coming up tails, and we think that the world is really crappy. Okay? But if you step back and you look at the 1,000 throws, so to speak, okay, I think things are pretty well going to even out. And if you make good choices, you know how, what's that movie where the mother keeps saying to her children, embarrassing them, make good choices. Okay, if you make good choices, then yeah, you're going to wind up having more heads than tails. You're going to wind up having more positive things in your lives than bad things. And I think that's what Ecclesiastes is saying. He's looking at things, on a more real thing, the microcosm. There are times when people who are good have crap happen to them. Crap happens. Doo-doo happens. Okay? But overall, I think the good are going to have a better life than the people who are bad.
My thoughts on that Ecclesiastes has always been that Solomon, by the time he had gotten to write his final writing, if you will, he was being humbled. I mean, I think by this time he had already seen all of his errors and all of his flaws, and he was not exactly a happy camper, kind of at the end of his rope, if you will, kind of pouring out his heart. So
7:15, Ecclesiastes,
Rabbi.
All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perishes in his righteousness, and there's a wicked man that prolongs his life in his wickedness. The race is not always won by the fastest. The battle is not always won by the strongest. Men of understanding are not always the wealthiest, yada, yada. But time and chance happens to them all. Don't forget that, too.
There you go. All right, we're going to take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, you're good. You're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
No worries. Hey, it's Mo Haddam. I'm calling from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. How are you guys?
Wow.
Welcome. What was your name?
Mohammed Haddam.
Oh, cool. Welcome.
Cold up there.
I'm Mo Haddam that did the comments. So I just like to clear something up for you guys if you guys are curious and for the people listening. So when it comes to halal slaughter, the animal must be raised in a halal manner. There are certain guidelines because animals have rights upon humans. And there's certain steps and procedures. So halal can be or kosher can be considered slaughter when it comes to meat if it's followed, if the guidelines are followed Islamically. So, like, in other words, if it's raised properly, it has to be well cared for, it has to live a happy life, it can't be sick, etc., etc. And like with me, I raise livestock, but I don't like slaughtering on my farm, but I slaughter for myself. So the animal can't be scared, it has to have a full stomach, it can't be sick, you have to let it have water, and it can't even see the blades. Now here's the other thing. if it doesn't give me its neck and submit to me, I have to let it go. I cannot slaughter it. If I do, it is not considered halal, period.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yes.
Well, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Muhammad, thank you for calling in
right.
and telling us. Appreciate that.
No worries. I'm a big fan of you guys and fan
Awesome.
of Tovia and everybody. I watch you guys religiously.
Very cool. Well, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that very
Yeah,
much.
so- Hey, no worries. You guys have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. You too.
Alaikum salam. Bye.
Hey, no worries. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that's good to know. Cool. All right, so where are we at on, what time is it now? It's actually almost 8, but when we get lots and lots of calls, I don't mind taking it late, but if we don't have too much to talk about, we may end up on the hour. So if you guys want to give us another call in for another question, feel free. Got a few minutes left before the hour tops off.
All right.
What was it? Why did I answer yes to that?
By the way, I forgot to mention that Ecclesiastes is my favorite book of the Bible.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's extremely misunderstood. I think that people don't get it, and they think they do. So that's just me.
Interesting. All right. Let's see. Okay, so here's a question. Crane style production. This was going to be probably, yeah, that's what it was, around 747. It says the English Bible says that Eve came from the rib of Adam. Was Eve a more prominent part of Adam, like a half of Adam's DNA? My understanding of that is absolutely she was literally half of his existence. I mean, so God didn't create Eve out of the blue, out of sand or anything like that. He literally extracted Eve from him, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, if you look at the idea of Torah altogether, Hashem has both masculine and feminine attributes. And Adam, being the only perfect man, there was no second perfect man, Jesus, thank you very much. Adam, being the only perfect man, was the only one of his kind who was like God. Everybody else was created more like Adam and Eve in that sense, in the sense that Adam and Eve were first, and so Eve came out of Adam, and then they procreated from there. So yeah, to answer your question, in my opinion, and I stress opinion because there's different views on it. There's stories in the Midrash and the Talmud that seem to be quite outrageous, but there's reasons for the way they tell it that way. But so based on all of that, I would say that Eve was definitely half of Adam. And Rabbi, we do have another caller.
Okay.
I mean, go ahead and comment on that first. Caller, sit tight, and we'll be right back.
Well, I was. Forget it. Let's go on.
Are you sure?
Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Okay. Here we
I'd
go.
rather answer a question anyway.
Okay. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name. Where you're calling from.
Hey, how's it going? It's Mo Haddam again.
Oh, hey.
Hi again.
Canada. So I got a question to ask. So
Okay.
If I'm a Muslim and from what the Christians and Jews believe, how we're created in God's image, does it not say isn't one of the commandments where you can't place a face on God?
Right.
Pretty much if you could imagine him, it's not God. So how are we created in His image?
Right.
I don't think it means that we look like God. Take a look at any two
Okay,
human
Mama,
beings.
go ahead and hang up, and because that's a great question, and I think we totally get the question, so no clarification necessary. Go ahead and hang up now, and you tune in for your answer, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Rabbi.
Okay, I don't think that it means that every human being looks like God, because one human being doesn't look at all like another human being. Just take a look at my mug and compare it with William's. Okay. Thought I'd even hear at least a little giggle there from you. All right.
Oh, well, I'm thinking too about the whole connection with Jesus. I mean, because that's a big thing. How they think that of course God.
Yeah, the
that we
text
look
also
like God.
says you can't see God and live, but if Jesus is God, how could all the people see him? Oh, but he was a human. Well, then the human died on the cross. You got human sacrifice. Oh, no, he was God. Well, if he was God, how could everybody see him? Oh, but he was human. Circular. All right, so I don't think what it means is that human beings look like God. Okay, I think, there's can't remember the name of the philosopher, the Jewish. He said that if you can say what God is, it implies that God is not something besides what you just said God is. So if you say what God is, you have limited God, and that is idolatrous. If I say God is tall, okay, then does that mean that God is not short? If I say that God is not short because I said God is tall, I'm limiting God. It's like saying that God can't be tall. God can't be short because I just said he was tall. So it becomes a difficulty to say what God is. But when it says that we are made in the image of God, I don't think it really means appearance. I think what it more or less is talking about is God's ability to discern between good and evil. Okay, as a matter of fact, the text in Genesis 3 specifically says that that man has become like one of us, knowing the difference between good and evil. We are made in the image of God that way, I think. And the ability to use our brains and our and to think for ourselves. So I think it's a lot less physical and more spiritual or intellectual. I'm not sure how to define that. That reminds me of something else. In mathematics, when we say to define something, it means to set limits on it. If I define the number 4, I am setting limits on it. So defining God in that sense means to set limits on God, and you can't limit God. But at any rate, there's a midrash that says if you take a look at all human beings, they look so very different. But when a king of flesh and blood, meaning a human king, starts printing money, okay, when he prints them, they all look alike. They all look exactly the same. But when God, prints, so to speak, human beings, each one looks different from the other. So I don't think that, I think it's a lot less, it's more religious than it is physical.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's more characteristics and design, we're the only part of creation that actually has the characteristics of God. Animals don't. Animals are by instinct. Plants don't, so in that essence we are indeed created in that image and likeness of.
That's how I look at it. But so all right.
Okay, moving on. And all right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Rabbi? You want to keep rolling, or you want to?
Every religious documentary I've seen on YouTube, everything I've seen on television, okay, when it touches on religion, oh brother, I'm talking about A&E. I'm talking about what are those other ones? Discovery Channel. When they start touching on religion, wow, you can't trust them. Let's see. Yeah, Ebony L. Judaism does not have an image of God, and you can't use an English word to represent what Judaism is teaching. Well put, by the way. Right. No one has the right to put poison into their own body. At least that's my understanding of Judaism. No, you're right. I agree. So let's see. But I had an idea. This is what I wanted to say. I forgot. Now I remembered again. Can we kind of like make it a request, very strong request, almost a rule, that when a person is going to use the chat to ask a question, then the first word they put in what they're writing is the word question in all capital letters.
That's a good idea.
Because there are times where I think I'm missing questions.
Well, really,
I think they're just talking to each other. I don't think they're asking a question.
I think that I think what we'll do to compromise with what you just said, instead of using the all, because one of the chat rules is no all caps. So what we could do is all they have to do.
Wait a minute. They won't have the whole sentence, the whole paragraph in all caps. But one word here or there isn't going to hurt.
The thing about it is, even
question.
Here's the thing: you'll see this even better if viewers out there, when you type in your question, is just put the @ symbol and write Tanakh Talk or Stuart Federow,
That'll work.
Then it shows up highlighted in yellow,
Right.
so we can actually see that on our end. And that way we don't even have to read or look for caps lock. We just look for the ones that are highlighted in yellow. Like I could scroll right now in like nanoseconds and find every place where you guys tagged me. Just tag us in the actual question, and then you don't have to write a question. Just state your question that way. It'll be easy to follow that way.
Right. If you put the to Knock Talk, it should make it a different color.
Well, you don't necessarily see it, but on my side, I see it highlighted.
Because I just tried to do that.
Now watch. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go like this right out. Stuart Federow. Right now, watch your screen. Do you see where it says Stuart Federow, and is it highlighted? Very last comment.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Tanakh Talk Tanakh at Stuart Federow. Why didn't it do that for me?
Because it's actually only shows the person who it's pointed out to. Because otherwise, everybody who comments on somebody else's name will be highlights all over the place.
All right.
It's only when you get tagged. So,
all right. Well, if they do that, it'll help us know that it's a question.
There you go. Yep. If you just highlight, just put the @ symbol before Stuart or before Tanakh Talk, then we'll see it.
All right.
Newsfinder question: Tanakh Talk is there a better way? That's funny. Cool. Good deal. All right. So there we go. So now we got that worked out. Super duper. And I've got my Ringer thing worked out. I actually downloaded the software onto my other computer. And I was worried to do that because I didn't want it to actually interrupt the show, but it doesn't. Actually, the Ringer does not turn on. So, very good. Yeah, right. You cannot. Well, actually, I think, Andrea, I know whenever I put in Tanakh Talk. Let me just see what happens.
Oh, we can't tag ourselves.
No, you're right. No, actually, I didn't. I think she's right.
Tag, you're it.
That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, good deal. Well, Rabbi, I guess we can call it a night. Looks like our questions have kind of made the end of the rope for today, and we did good. We almost just over an hour, so not too bad. So, guys, next time, same place, next Monday, Hashem willing, we will be back, and hopefully y'all will also. Please also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do, and turn on the notifications so that you get I'll put, just like post up on there, like little messages. And if you haven't subscribed to all, you could subscribe to three different ways. If you subscribe, turn on all notifications, then no matter what I do, you'll get alerted by it. So if you want to do that, then that way you won't miss anything. Okay. So Rabbi, thank you again. It's been fun, and we'll look forward to seeing. We'll want to see that finger dance before we get out of here completely. There it is, guys. See you next time, everybody. Peace.
תמיד כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי.